going to be introducing Convoy and doing a hands-on demo of Convoy. So I think Convoy is still very confusing for a lot of people, whereas it's very clear for some other people. You can move past this. Yeah, pretty much. So the demo is going to be a basic webhook delivery, disable endpoints, URL per event, and navigating the UI. But before I go into the details, I wanted to do just like a 2-minute description of what webhooks is, because I figured, like talking to a lot of people, I figured I need to still sort of explain what webhooks is and how critical it is to the software that we build. So I think that webhooks is essentially like the glue of the modern internet, or like the glue of the modern API internet, right? So if you think about it, if you make a payment on PiggyVest, for all of us that use PiggyVest for savings, right? And you use what? Paystack. PiggyVest will open up a modal, and then you debit your card. And say you are trying to make a top-up of 5,000 naira, what will happen in the back, behind the scene, is Paystack will debit your card, you get a debit alert of 5,000 naira, and then Paystack will send an event with your name, say Shubomi, Zenith Bank, 5,000 naira, to PiggyVest servers. And they will receive that information, and then they will process it, and then then you see 5,000 naira reflect in the PiggyVest application. Does that make sense? If that event doesn't come true, if the event from Paystack to PiggyVest, if it fails, what you would have to do is you would have to reach out to PiggyVest customer support, because you've been debited, like the money not in your account again. And then you are turning between, where's my money? And that's the nature of webhooks and how critical it is. So I can go on and give examples. If you make a payment on Shopify and Stripe debits your card and the payment does not come through to Shopify, your package is not getting delivered, right? And that's how critical webhooks is. So what is Convoy? Convoy is saying that for every paystack, because the person will go build the next paystack day here. They didn't get it. Oh, should I take it again? Because I said the person that is building the next paystack is here. Yeah, so essentially, if you are building an API, if you are building your own paystack, you are building your own Flutter, you are building your API, what we are essentially trying to build with Convoy is the webhooks infrastructure of how you do that reliability. Because if you think about it, that event of the necessity needs to get to PiggyVest. If it doesn't get to PiggyVest, there's a direct customer impact. There's no point. If it is in the middle of the night, your CEO will call you, guy, system is broken. Because that event must go from Paystack to the merchants. And if you think about it, Shopify did a thread on Twitter and said, they always do this when they have Black Friday and say that, we processed X amount of billions. And in a day, they processed 11 billion webhook events on Black Friday alone. Meaning that for everybody that has built a Shopify application on top of Shopify, for every merchant sale or whatnot you get a webhook event to your system to further do whatever you want to do. So Convoy is to webhooks the same way Redis is to key value storage. We distribute binaries and Docker image. So what I want to do, does that make explanation make sense? Perfect sense. Lovely. So what I want to do is I want to do a basic webhook delivery demo. Then I'll talk about disable endpoint. So disable endpoint means that once we cannot get events down to your system, we send you an event so that you can fix it on time. So imagine you are PiggyVest, and I'll talk about that when we start doing the demo. URL per event. URL per event also means from Paystack, as you are building your own Paystack, your users can supply you multiple URLs, and you can fan out to multiple URLs for them to do different things. So you can imagine I want this payment JSON to go to a serverless function and do some reporting, and this payment JSON should also go to my main application and credit the user, and this payment JSON should probably go to Slack and do a notification. That's the essence of URL per event. What you will see people do, or what I've seen people do, is people will write a proxy in front of Paystack, and when the events come to their proxy, they fan out to their multiple consumers. Does that make sense? But out of the box, using Convoy, you can do that fan out. And then I'll do a simple navigating the UI. So everything I'm going to be doing in this demo is in this repository. How you configure Convoy and how you receive events with Convoy. Convoy dev first demo. Can you guys see the URL on top? Lovely. So you can always clone this and reproduce what I'm going to demo after this session. Make sense? So we have three components here. We have the convoy binary or the convoy image. The last build that was released 5 days ago or so, 0.3. You have a MongoDB database where Convoy persists the events to, and you have Redis for queuing. This is also a basic configuration of how you supply this Convoy JSON file to Convoy. You provide you provide the MongoDB URL, you provide Redis, you provide Sentry for error monitoring. If you want to deploy Convoy with SSL support, you put your certificates, signature header. Please go down. Okay, it's okay. Here we configure how we want to do retries. So Paystack will tell you today, if you check Paystack documentation, they will tell you, we are going to send you this event every hour for the next 72 hours. So with Convoy, what you can do is you can configure your own. You can say, this configuration says we are going to send this event, all events, 3 times, spaced by 20 seconds each, right? The signature header. So when you send an event to an endpoint, you specify an header. It's that header that the user would use to compare the hash and say, okay, this payload was signed with whatever hash you configure, hash 512. Paystack uses hash 512. Some people use hash 256. Convoy supports multiple hashing algorithms. So you say, sign this payload with this hashing algorithm, right? And then once the information gets to the consumer will look for this header, HTTP header, and then we'll verify the hash, if that makes sense. And so this was why it was easy to switch this into Bitcoins, because consumers that were consuming against Bitcoins API did not know that they were consuming webhook events coming from Convoy, right? Because we're able to switch this information seamlessly. Does that make any sense? Lovely. So we can go down. All right, let's do a quick demo. So if you can see this clearly, you see Convoy server is up. And this is what the UI looks like. So I'm going to try to pipe one event on my local machine from Convoy to a consumer. You can imagine it is Paystack to your app that will change the world. So this is a simple script that I wrote. And now Convoy is not written in Ruby. Convoy is written in Go. But that's how it is. Like, you consume webhook events from wherever. Paystack they've written their systems in whatever language, but then you consume events in your application written in whatever you've written your language, your application in. But this is a basic Ruby script. It would receive the events, and then we are going to do what? Compute the signature and compare it. And I put normal console log for all of you JavaScript developers. To output the hash that we are comparing from what we are getting, the hook signature, and what we are computing to see if it makes sense. And then you do a comparison and you say it's valid, and you say you appreciate Convoy. All right, so we have that guy running on port 6000. So I created an application. If you come back to the interface, you would see their first application, right? Now I'm going to create an endpoint to that application. Remember that we are running our receiver or the consumer on port 6000, right? Can you see what has changed? No, 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 no. So now we have the endpoints on our dev first application. So I'm going to pipe an event to that guy. I created an event going to dev first app, right? And then we are going to check the deliveries. Now we can see now that it's saying retry, attempt two. So something is wrong, right? So essentially, the event is getting to the application, but it is not processing it correct. So the way we would debug this is we check what the error is. All right. So if you look at what's happening here, my Convoy is trying to send, and Convoy is trying to talk to an SSL endpoint, but this guy is not configured with SSL, so it's failing. And that's why the former event was not going through. So now I updated the endpoint to be non-SSL, and we're going to try that again. Yeah, so what do we see? We see that obviously this is failed because the endpoint was an SSL endpoint, and then the endpoint that the consumer was not configured to run with SSL. But the second one was successful, and we can see success. The second thing I'm going to demo before I drop the mic is URL per event. So what that means is that with Convoy, your users or whoever you are integrating with, or however you choose to use Convoy, you can take one event and send it to multiple places. So what that will look like in this final demo is we are going to run this guy. This guy is running on port 6000. Is anybody following me? Lovely. So I'm going to run this guy on port 6000. Then we're going to run another one on port 7000 and another one on port 8000. And we're going to fan out the same event. No, we're going to run one on 6000, one on 7000, one on 8000, and one on 9000. But the one on 9000 will not receive the event. And we are going to see Convoy fan out to only 3 endpoints, right? If you know what, people should stone me. So what that looks like is, now this application is listing on port 6000, right? So we want to subscribe 7000, 8000, 9000, but 6000 to 8000 will subscribe to the event, while 9000 will not subscribe to the event. I will stone you people if you don't get it, because if you want to stone me. So 7,000. If you look at this carefully, I'm sorry you cannot see it very well, but this is the array of events that the endpoint subscribes to. So if you put an asterisk there, you are saying, give me all the events. If you specifically put transfer created, that's what you want to receive and nothing else, right? So I'm going to create 7,000 on the wildcard, right? And I'm going to create 8,000 on the same wildcard. And then I'll create 9,000. And I'll say, just give me transfer dot created. So when you come back to the UI, you reload, you can see this, right? So you can see 6,000 all events, 7,000 all events, 8,000 all events, 9,000 transfer created. So let's pipe the event. So what we expect to see is everybody, uh, this guy will receive the event and act on it, and this guy will be looking like, I'm just doing delay tactics. Oh yeah, let's pipe the event. It didn't work. Wait now, wait. Be patient. So it's the same error that happened the other time. Can we figure the same error? SSL, exactly, exactly, exactly. So I am going to fix the XSL and try it again. So we fixed all the endpoints to be HTTP, and we're going to pipe the event again. Um, Correct. So everybody's receiving the event apart from 9,000. Is 9,000 receiving the event? Ah, fuck. Okay, fixed. Transfer created. He didn't receive it. You will not stone me, even though. And I think that's the end of the presentation.